Welcome to Marketing in the Age of AI, the show for leaders who want real results, not more noise. Join Emanuel Rose as he helps business builders turn AI from a confusing add-on into a practical advantage with clearer messaging, stronger trust, and smarter systems. If you felt a shift happening in real time, you're not imagining it. In the agentic pivot, Emanuel calls it the move from experimenting with AI to building with it, so it supports your team, your brand, and your growth. Let's get into it.
I'm Emanuel Rose. This is Marketing in the Age of AI, and today we are joined by Sarah Johnson, one of the original architects of content-first thinking, with 20 plus years shaping digital strategy for Fortune 500 brands, author of Content First Design, and a trusted advisor to CVS, Bank of America, TII, and Fidelity. Sarah builds systems that make content predictable, measurable, and strategic. We'll get practical frameworks, team design, and operationalizing content as infrastructure. And a lot of other big words, I would imagine, Sarah.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Emmanuel.
Yeah, I appreciate you spending some time talking about this today.
Sure.
Um, well, the first thing is, what's changed in your content thinking since the advent of the retail version of ChatGPT and everybody being able to write like an LLM now?
Oh, that's interesting. It's become much more, content first design has become much more critical in the age of AI. And I think that content needs to be an infrastructure with clear context in order to work in an AI system. And with content first design, you get that structure up front, you get content modeling, you get user research, you get consistent meaning. And, one of the things that we try to avoid at all costs is meaning drift, where one team is saying one thing and one is saying another, and AI gets that input and spits out hallucinations. So content first has become truly critical in this era that we're in.
Yeah, I would agree with that. What's the fundamental structure, and how does somebody get started with content first as the strategic structure?
Sure, content first. The first thing we do is diagnose the disconnect. Like, where are the misalignments in teams and in messaging? Where are things running amok? And we try and get all of the teams on the same page, using the same language with the same meaning.
Okay.
And the second thing that we do is rewrite the messaging for impact using, this shared vocabulary or lexicon, if you want to call it, for what we're doing.
Sure. I like to call it an ontology.
An ontology. I like that. That sounds even fancier. That's great. And we operationalize the framework, which means we get people on board with this approach of doing user research before writing content, writing some initial content, then working and collaborating with UX. The idea is not to exclude other teams with content first. It's not content only, it's content first, but we do it in conjunction with stakeholders and not in isolation so that people aren't left out. It's just an approach that speaks more to the user. Like, one of the things I think about is that a digital experience is a conversation with the user, and how can you have the conversation if you don't have the content? And
Yeah, for
a friend
sure.
of mine said that it's like trying to make a movie without a script. So when we get a handle on the content and who the user is, and we drive visuals from that point of view, the collaboration with the designer becomes much more effective, and the final product requires less rework and rewrites and mucky muck.
Yeah, I think that's a really classic approach, in that you have to understand who the human is that you're speaking to.
Exactly.
We usually start with an ideal client profile, and then we build a persona, and then
Mhm.
we have some psychological triggers to understand what the needs are of the human that we're speaking to. What do you think about that?
I think talking to the actual humans makes a big difference rather than talking to these paradigms we invent in a boardroom. I think that actual user testing and getting real people in the room and talking with them makes a huge difference. And, we need to have that one on one contact with the people we're trying to communicate with. And one cool thing I did at a job was sit on the customer service hotline so
Right.
that you're listening to people call in with what's causing their pain points and understanding how they talk and think and feel about your product, how it works, what's not working for them. That was really instructive. I mean, how that's as close as you can get to your customer, right?
It's beautiful. And
Yeah.
I love when you get to borrow phrases and words from
Yes.
actual customers and then build
Yes.
that into campaigns.
Yes.
Yeah, even and then the flip side, I love to be able to use the negative reviews into a campaign also. Uh, you can't
That's
hurt me.
awesome.
That's always my you can't hurt me campaign.
That's awesome. I love it.
Yeah. So then so you're building narratives first and then you're sending that to graphic design. Is that kind of the process that you're talking about?
No, I think that the UX designers are involved from the beginning, and they
Okay.
sit in all the research, learning
Nice.
about the content and why it is the way it is. And then we develop a priority map, which is sort of like an outline, a hierarchical document about content, and sit with the designers and work from that perspective of the user and the conversation we're having with them, and how are we going to support that with a UI and visuals.
I understand. Yeah. And then are you is the kind of the generative engine optimization, answer engine optimization, is that part of your thinking also, or is that a separate department?
Sure, that's something we're always learning more about every day. I was listening to, I think it was one of your podcasts today
Oh,
about that.
you're so sweet.
No, I like it. It's great. But yeah, we have to always be thinking about, search engine and generative AI and ChatGPT. How are they going to get our data? And one thing I learned recently was that on my blog, all subheads should be questions because people ask questions and it'll go
Nice.
much faster. Hot little tip for you. But that's something I'm learning about every day. You can't learn enough about it.
Oh, and it's so dynamic. I was just reading a post today about they're starting to split out generative engine optimization and answer engine optimization as separate disciplines now.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, that is getting. I think it's almost too technical for me. I'm gonna have to get a
Well, there's
consultant.
like four different acronyms for it, and it's all very similar, but with
It
subtle
is similar,
differences.
but with really, there's really clear distinctions now,
Yeah,
and then you add on the next layer, which is this kind of agentified content for the
right,
agents to understand. So
right.
it's getting as complicated as accounting. I think marketing, digital marketing in this time because of all the specificity that we have to take into account when we're building
Right.
anything, everything now, right?
Everything. Yes, I agree. I'm just getting into agentic AI, um, and taking a course on it actually so that I can code it myself.
Nice.
And yeah, so I'm eager to get that under my belt and get play with it. I love AI and I'm, within ethical considerations to use
Sure.
it as a collaborator, as a tool, a
Absolutely.
research assistant.
Yeah, the leverage. What are some of the tools that you use in your daily professional life that are AI powered?
I built my own GPT
Hmm.
so that I can use it for writing like first drafts. And
Nice.
then, governance is so important to any AI endeavor. Um,
Hmm.
that, reading everything over and really using what I get from AI as a first draft and not a final draft.
For
Um,
sure.
so I used my custom GPT for everything, everything. And I want to get
And
into
is
Claude
that in
and
chat? Are you using chat?
chat, yes. And I want to get into Claude and start using co-work. But it's like there's so much time in a day. I'm sitting right here where you see me
Yeah.
most of the
Yeah.
day.
Well, I'll tell you, I did start out in chat, and I probably got 45 custom GPTs, and then in the last 2 months, I've transitioned over to Claude Cowork and Claude Code, and Claude, and uh, I once it's kind of like for me once I swallowed that pill, I'm like I'm never going back to just
Really?
chat.
So
Yeah.
tell me about it. Tell me what was it that sold you?
Well, just the three modules essentially inside that Claude environment. You've got Claude for kind of the easy answers or generating content and ideas like you would with chat, and then Cowork you automate things like I mean, when I'm on X, I bookmark a lot of stuff, and then I don't, think I'll go back to it later. Well, I created a co-work tool that every morning at 9 a.m. it goes and pulls down all my bookmarks and puts it into a folder for me, and then I can access that content on
Oh,
my computer
that's
because
very
go
cool.
go to market strategies or what are these playbooks that everybody's posting.
Right,
Uh,
right.
and then Claude Code, unbelievable. Either I can build tools like I built an entire client onboarding software. So from the sales conversations where I upload the videos of all the Zoom sales meetings, and
Mm-hmm.
then upload the contract. It creates the scope of work. It schedules the client kickoff meeting, and then all the research and all those things that we have to do in order to kick off
That's
a project.
fantastic.
And so, you probably can do that in other environments too. I don't know, but in
Right.
and I'm not getting paid to promote Claude, but it just has been super useful for me to be able to build dashboards. And I'm actually building a service provider outbound caller right now, so I can say, call the yard guy and have him come and turn the water on, and then it will make the phone call and schedule it into
No,
my calendar. Yes.
that's awesome. You've got it making dinner now.
Yeah, exactly. Now, yeah, exactly. All this stuff that is kind of like just nags at me. I just build these tools, and the Cloud Code's really amazing for that.
Cool.
Yeah. Uh, so the core principles are about talking to humans, getting the stakeholders involved. And
Hmm.
then, are you telling stories like the hero's journey? Is it problem solution call to
No,
action?
it's more
What's the structure?
creating. It's more creating consistent meaning across teams. Because when meaning starts to drift, you lose clarity. The message loses clarity, and it doesn't land with real people.
Give me an example. What's a search for meaning? Because I only know a man's search for meaning, but that's a much different topic. I
Okay,
think that's
so
Viktor Frankl.
so say we can show some misalignment with this example. So say a company releases a new smart save feature, and marketing frames it as a way to automatically optimize spending, and product defines it as predictive budgeting, and UX calls it auto allocation, and support
Yeah.
gives it
Well.
to
Yeah.
customers as scheduled transfers. Operations documents it as automated saving rules.
Oh
So,
man,
like
that's a
from the
mess.
beginning, we're really off the beam.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. We
And
need to. Nobody knows what anybody's talking about at that point.
yeah, and it's a really common problem. And a lot of
Interesting.
businesses that I talk to say, well, we have that under control. We have people who deal with that. And it's like, no, you don't.
Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah, I offer audits and stuff for pages that can identify those types of things and, clean up So much of what's out there is driven by what's visually appealing and creates a vibe or an energy about it, which is
Yeah.
cool. But the language is where it's at. That's where you're like saying what the problem is they're having, what's your solution, what's the impact going to be on their business. Like
Right.
if people don't learn those three things in the beginning, then they're like, pretty pictures, yeah, whatever.
Yeah. You got 2.6 seconds, and I've moved on to the next person.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, who's the ideal client for you, Sarah?
The ideal clients, I have sort of two channels. One is sort of CMOs and marketing executives.
Yep.
And I like starting there because the more upstream you get with this process, the easier it gets downstream. You clean it at the source.
Yep.
And my other channel of contact is with UX content strategy directors and executives, and
Mm-hmm.
work with them more on dealing with content first in the context of their problem solving space, like their creation of a digital product. They can only go on what marketing and product tells them. And if they're
Right.
getting different messages, it'll always fall on the content team. Hey, fix this, clean it up. It doesn't sound quite right. And they're like, you guys
Yeah.
need to get your story straight.
Yeah, and that's where being able to actually go back to client conversations kind of is the ultimate lever, I would think, for most
Yes,
CMOs.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
and then how have you been getting your clients in the age of AI?
In the age of AI, oh gosh, I've gotten a bunch of clients from being on podcasts actually, and from my own podcast, the
Nice.
Content First podcast, and doing cold lead generation on LinkedIn. I set up a what do you call it? Sort of a thought leadership space there that
Hmm.
talks about my ideas and how it can help your business. So people who haven't even reached out to me know who I am. So I talked to someone the other day that was someone referred me to them, and they already knew who I was and had seen my stuff on LinkedIn. So it's sort of like you're putting stuff out all over the place, and I'm starting to get to that point where I'm feeling it stick.
Nice.
Like, oh, there are people out there who are listening.
I know that's gratifying, is it? Because sometimes it is like your own little echo chamber of
It is
content.
totally. I'm like sitting here every day, pounding away, writing, 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 and then someone's like, "I hear you."
Yeah, that's nice. And so let's see, people, if they wanted to get in touch with you and understand more about your system, how do they do that?
They can look at my website, contentfirstdesign.com, or email me at sarah@contentfirstdesign.com. And you can also find me on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/in/SAJWRITER, Sag Writer.
All right, I love that. And then what's on tap for you for the rest of the year? You have any new initiatives for your work?
Yeah, working with a large financial services company on implementing content first design throughout their user experience system,
Nice.
and doing a keynote and some workshops and then ongoing coaching. And that's fun. I'm doing work with a company, an agency that works with clients to develop AI solutions, and doing the content first approach, so that the AI, the output is only as good as what goes in, right? So
For
creating those
sure.
consistencies in modeling and structure.
Yeah, I love it. Well, it sounds like a busy schedule. And what
Yeah, and
about
then I'm doing the podcast every week.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's
And
fun.
that's all content. And then what kind of guests are you having on that show?
I alternate every week. I have CMOs or marketing professionals, and then I alternate that with user experience teams.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's awesome. Well, I'm gonna have to put that one on my list so I can hear what you got going on.
cool.
Yeah, well, good. So all the links will be in there. And then I wanted to ask you, yeah, where are you going to go on your vacation for this year? That's the real question.
Vacation, what's that?
Come on, you gotta take a break.
I live on Cape Cod, which is a beach community. When I
Yeah.
asked my parents when we were going on vacation, they're like, "You're on vacation. This is vacation."
It's all year round. Okay, well,
It
fair
is,
enough.
it is.
I
No, I
like
hope
it.
next fall to go to Portugal.
Oh, there you go. That's
Yeah,
nice. And is that a summertime adventure?
yes. I have
All right.
friends there, so I'd love to visit them in the Azores.
Very nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I appreciate your time. It's great to hear about content first, and I uh, I think I'm wishing you the best of luck for this year, and
Thank you.
I
Thank
want to
you.
have you back on to talk to you about your AI agent experience. So reach
Yes,
out
that
to
would be
me
fun. We can
when you have
compare
a
notes.
use case.
Yes.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Okay, let's
All
do
right.
it. All right.
All right. Well, thanks, Sarah. We'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Well, I love it. It's a good reminder that we need to have meaning that stretches across all departments, and we need to have a shared ontology, which is a language and a way to describe it. And the best way to do that is to use uh, comments from your actual user group, your actual clients or customers. So, if you have questions about content, I would reach out to Sarah Johnson and get some comments from her on LinkedIn or by email. This is Emanuel Rose, Marketing in the Age of AI. I hope that you got some value from the conversation I had with Sarah Johnson. I also hope that you take some time to continue your AI research and that you find a way for an LLM or for some of the tools to help you win back some time, and that with that time you continue to upskill, that you spend it with your friends and family, or that you get outside into nature away from the screens. Have a good day.
Thanks for listening to Marketing in the Age of AI. Be sure to subscribe wherever you heard this podcast so you never miss a future episode. Your copy of Authentic Marketing in the Age of AI is available at Amazon.com or EmanuelRose.com. You can also connect with Emanuel on LinkedIn. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.